People think ChatGPT and Claude is going to save their jobs. It won't, because it doesn't matter how much you use Claude or how many tools you connect to it. AI is getting better. 2 years ago, people would make these long, detailed paragraphs to try and get AI to do what they want, but now, that's a complete waste of time. AI is growing like a cancer. It's getting smarter and more powerful by the second, leaving people behind. But you can get ahead. There's one skill that'll let you keep your job and make sure that you have one in the future, and you're gonna know it by the end of this video. All it is just understanding how agents work and how they work together. Just knowing this will put you in the top 1% of AI users. Because if you understand how AI thinks and what its weaknesses are, you're gonna be miles ahead of everyone else. And I'm gonna teach you that today. I've built AI directly with one of the sharks of Shark Tank. He's the biggest business podcaster in the world and he runs a $425 million company. Here's what he said about me.
I need Kaz. Kaz knows everything about AI agents. He's a young Japanese kid who's highly curious. On the weekend, he's building AI agents to solve problems in my life. I've got a kid called Kaz here. He's built a team of agents that now work for him. So hiring Kaz means I get Kaz and his team of agents because he's proficient in that technology. Most of the workforce hasn't been trained because of the education system to know a thing about this.
And you don't have to build these agents yourself. Just knowing how they work is actually more important than making them, as long as you start now. Because the window of time you have to get ahead is shrinking, and I'll tell you why in this video. And honestly, I'm not happy about it. I'm going to split this video up into two sections, how agents work and how they work together. Now it's really important you and I are on the same page on what an agent is. I'm going to keep it simple. An AI agent is just AI doing something for you. When you open up Claude or ChatGPT and start a new conversation, that's technically an agent. And here's why. An agent is just made of three things: a trigger, AI, and an action. That's all it is. Something tells AI to wake up, AI thinks about what it needs to do, and then it takes an action. And don't worry, we're gonna break this all down because even though it's simple, it's really important for you to understand how each part works. It's gonna lay the foundation on how you get agents to talk and work with each other, and that's what's gonna get you super powerful. Let's start with AI. If you're watching this, I know you use it, but it's important to understand what it is. AI is a computer program. You know those apps on your phone or on your laptop? AI is just like one of those, except instead of you being able to open and use it, it runs on these big computers that run 24/7 and are spread out around the world in these data centers. The way AI works is that it's studied a bunch of information on the internet, documents, books, websites, videos, and it tries to predict the next thing you're gonna say so that it can predict the next thing that it should say to give you an answer. And that's why it sounds and feels like a human, and it feels like it's thinking. It's because it's trained on things that we've said, that we've written, and that we've created. I won't go too much into this because I think you've got it and you probably use it all the time. But like we've talked about, AI is a thinking machine. It thinks well, but at the end of the day, it's just a brain. If all we had was a brain, we wouldn't be able to do anything. We need our bodies, we need our arms, we need our legs so that we can go and do things in the world. AI is the same way. You could use it like Google and just have it answer questions, but you could also give it tools so that it can go out and do work for you. Here's some examples. You could give AI access to a computer so that it can do anything you would with a computer. It can open up a browser, it can take screenshots, it could even edit a video for you. Or you could give AI a phone number and an email address. And that way it can go text, email your friend, it can set up dinner reservations for you. If you give it the tools, it could even book flights or order food for you. All of these tools exist, and the more tools you give your agent, the more things it can do. This is why Claude and ChatGPT have connectors. These are tools you can give AI so that it can take more powerful actions for you as an agent. But when does AI actually use these tools? Does it do it automatically? Does it only do it when you tell it to? This is where triggers comes in. It's what tells AI that it's time to actually do something. It's simple, but it can be extremely powerful if you're creative with it. You can set the trigger for an agent to wake up to be a certain time of day. So every Wednesday at 8 a.m., it does some research for you on what's happening on the weekend. But you could also have an agent wake up only when a specific person messages you, or when someone's at the door. But you could even tie an agent to your smartwatch so that it only does a certain task when you're working out or when it can tell that you're awake. Honestly, there's endless amount of things that you can do, and the more creative you are with these triggers, the more you can unlock, the more you can automate parts of your life. So that's what agents are made of. A trigger, something that wakes the AI up, the AI, which does the thinking, and then the action, which is AI using a tool to do something for you. But if you don't understand this next part, your agents might do things that you really don't want them to. Now, just like our brains, AI has a memory. There's only a certain amount of information that it can take in before it starts to forget things. Honestly, the best way to think about this is a notebook. Imagine AI's memory as a page in a notebook. You can start chatting, talking with it, telling it more about the problems that you want it to solve. But as it starts to go and visit websites and give you answers, the page starts to fill up. And eventually, it's going to be full. And because AI can't just give itself more memory, can't just make more room on the page, it has to start erasing old messages so that it can make room for new ones. Now, it doesn't usually just erase messages. What it'll do is it'll summarize old parts of the conversation, so it has a record of what you talked about, but then it has more room for whatever you want to talk about next. And it works. But the problem is that it's like the whisper game. The more you summarize, the more you lose important details of the conversation. It's like when you tell your friend a story. You tell your friend the story, your friend tells someone else, and then that person tells someone else. And by the fifth person, the story is completely different. And AI is the same way. If AI keeps hitting its memory limit and has to summarize a conversation, inevitably a lot of important information gets lost, and that's why it's not going to answer your questions how you expect it to. This is one of the reasons why AI starts to hallucinate. I'll give you another example. Imagine your boss gives you 20 projects, 20 different projects, and they're all due at the same time. It's overwhelming. I'd get confused and start making mistakes. I think everyone would. But that's how AI is too. If you try to fit 20 different projects, 20 different conversations into its memory, it's gonna get overwhelmed. It's gonna start mixing up details from one project with details from another. And this is why, when you're working with AI, as a rule of thumb, you should try to give each agent a different expertise. Think of it like a restaurant. You have one person that's really good at cooking, you have another person that's really good with wine, and you have someone that's really great at washing dishes. Each person has their own expertise, because if one person tried to do everything, things would fall apart. And it's not because one person can't learn how to do what the other person is doing, but it's because you can do a much better job when you get to focus on one thing instead of trying to balance a whole bunch of different things. That's how we are, and agents work the same way. Now you're probably wondering, okay, I understand what agents are and how they think, but how do I make one and where do they go? Now that second question is actually the most important one. There's a lot of ways to make an agent. You can make some simple ones in the Claude and the ChatGPT app, but a lot of the real power comes from building one. Imagine you have an F1 driver. You could put them in a normal car like a Ferrari or my Honda Civic, but you'll get way more performance if you build them a custom car. This video is about understanding agents, not about building them, so we'll save that for another video. But to keep it short, if you want to build a custom agent, you can make agents by getting blueprints of agents that other people have made. The two most popular ones are called OpenClaw and Hermes. They're basically code blueprints for agents. It describes everything an agent needs to run, how it should think, how it should message you, how it should use tools. Again, it's more complicated than we need to get into this video. But the main thing you need to understand from this is that an agent is a software program. It's like an app on your phone or on your computer. It's made of code. And so that's why it actually needs some type of device for it to run on so that it can work for you 24/7. Now there's two ways to do this, and this is important. You could download it on a computer, but this means that you have to keep this computer running 24/7 or else your agent turns off. Some people do this with a laptop that they have laying around like I do, or they'll actually buy a dedicated computer that they can have running so it has a lot of power. But not everyone wants to buy a computer just to have an agent, so the second way is actually really important in how you can do this at scale. The second method is to rent a virtual computer. Now you're probably thinking, Kaz, what the f is a virtual computer? I promise it's simple. Big companies like Amazon and Google have huge computers that they have on 24/7 to keep their websites running. And you can rent a tiny piece of them. And it's actually really common. And that little piece of their computer that you rent is 100% yours. It's dedicated to you. It's not a physical computer that you can see or you can touch. You might be thinking, what's the point? But there's actually a lot of benefits. One of the benefits is that it's super cheap and you can cancel whenever you want. It can be as low as $4 a month, and that way you don't have to have a whole computer just to have an agent working for you. Two is that it doesn't take up any physical space. If you buy a computer to run an agent on it, then you have to put it in the corner of your room like I did and have it be running 24/7, and you can never unplug it. And the last point, which is a really big one, is that it runs 24/7. These really big companies like Amazon, Google, whoever you use, their computers need to run all the time to keep their website running. So you get to kind of mooch off of it and have a computer that's always on so your agent can always be working for you. And it's not really like this, but it's almost like having a little bit of real estate on the internet where your agent, you can download it and it can just live there. I know this might sound a little complicated, but it's actually really important for you to understand where agents live for what we're about to talk about next, which is the most important part. But to recap, I've just told you what an agent is. It's a system where AI does something for you. It's made of a trigger, AI, and an action. Something tells the agent to wake up, AI thinks, and then it uses one of the tools that you give it to take an action. And I've also told you about how AI's memory works and what its weaknesses are, so that now you know how to work around it by making sure that your agent focuses on one specific task so that it doesn't get overwhelmed and hallucinate and do the wrong thing for you. But like any good team, you could have the Avengers. You can make as many as you want, but they have to work together. And this is the most important thing that you have to understand. Let's say you have a team of agents, a marketing agent, a sales agent, a design agent, and a customer service agent. Just like any team, they can't finish a project unless they actually work together. So how do we get them talking? If I need to reach you, I've got a few options, right? I could send a letter to you, I could give you a phone call, I could email you. Agents are the same way. They can communicate very similarly, and there's three main methods that I'm gonna walk you through right now. Messaging, APIs, and sharing access. The last two sound complicated, but I promise it's pretty easy. The first one is just messaging. It's what you and I do every day. You can give an agent a phone number and then someone can text it and it can respond. Or you could give an agent an email and when it gets one, it can read it and then do any work that it was told to do. Pretty easy. That means if your sales agent closes a deal, it could text your customer service agent all the details so it can start working. Now this can work. I mean, it works for us. But when it comes to agents, there's actually a better way for them to talk to each other. I mean, imagine this. If your sales agent texts your customer service agent with a long paragraph like this with all the details, then that means that that customer service agent has to go line by line, sentence by sentence to try to figure out, okay, what's important? What do I need to keep? That's a wasted step. It's a wasted step in the process. And the more steps you have, the more chances you have to trip. So this is where APIs come in handy. You don't need to worry about what it stands for, you just need to know what it is. But for you curious people, it stands for Application Programming Interface. What you need to know and what you need to remember is that it's basically a mailbox. Let's imagine that your agent lives in a home, but you want it to work and communicate with other agents, so you put a mailbox outside. Now, other agents can talk to your agent by sending letters to the mailbox. If they want to send a message like, hey, here's the PowerPoint file, or hey, can you give me all the information on this customer? They can send a letter, put it in the mailbox, and then your agent can get it, read it, and respond to it. Simple, right? But the important thing here is that on the back of the mailbox, there's instructions that say exactly how a letter should be written depending on what you want. Think of it like a form. If you're trying to order cookies from your neighbor's daughter, there's a specific form that you need to fill out to get those cookies. Or if you're applying for an apartment, there's a specific application that you have to fill out that asks for certain things. That's how APIs work. If you want an agent to do something for you, you have to send a message to its mailbox, its API, in a certain template that it's used to. Because that template, like a form, lists out all the information that it needs to get the job done. Let me give you an example. Let's say that your sales agent wants your design agent to make a PowerPoint. It sends a message to your design agent's mailbox, its API, with all the information that that design agent needs. The design agent can make it and then it can send it back to the sales agent through an API, through the mailbox. But if the letter was missing some information, then the mailbox, the API, can actually just reject it and say, hey, we need this information. And in this example, that could be, how do you want the colors to be? How many paragraphs do you want? How many slides do you want? The template can have this as rules, as requirements on what it needs. If the letter was missing specific information like that, then the mailbox, the API, can reject it and tell the sales agent, give me this information so that the design agent knows exactly what to do. You can see why APIs can be super powerful. They might seem a little complicated, but because you can create so many different rules and pass so much information between the agents, they can unlock so much opportunity for you. With it, you can connect all of your different agents together to do more for you. Now, the last thing that we're going to go over is sharing access, shared access. We've talked about agents living in homes and how you can text them or leave messages in their mailbox. But when you think about a mailbox, not anyone can just put letters or packages in there, right? You need to be some type of postal worker and have a specific key. Well, agents work the same way. If you want other agents to be able to securely talk to your agent, you need to give them a key. In this case, it's an API key. It's basically a password, but it allows other agents to be able to open your mailbox and put letters in. And that's how these agents and software get to communicate with each other. But you could also give them a key to the house. This is a method called sharing access. It's similar to APIs because it's actually built on it. The idea here is that you can give another agent, if you trust it, access to your agent's home. Here's an example. Imagine I keep a to-do list in my office. Instead of making someone send a letter to me every time they want to know what I'm up to, I could just give them a key to my office. Not my entire home, but just my office. So whenever they need to, they can go in, check my to-do list, see what's new, and maybe cross off anything that they've actually done for me. That's basically what shared access is. It basically gives another agent access to your agent's home so that instead of having to send messages back and forth, it can just go in and get or update any information that it needs to. It communicates with your agent, not directly, but by updating information that they both share. It's like if your coworker updated a spreadsheet that you gave them access to. You can see notes they left and even pick up where they left off. But it only works because you gave them access to the spreadsheet and invited them into your home. Those are the 3 general ways that agents can communicate with you or with each other. And look, there's a bunch of other ways that they can, and a lot more that goes into each one that I explained. I'm sure the technical people are going to be in the comments saying exactly what I missed and what I didn't say. But the goal of this video wasn't to be super technical. The goal of this video was for you to understand how agents work and how they can work together. Because now you know, you could create a manager agent that keeps a list of to-dos for a certain project. And if you give an API key to other agents, you're sharing access so then any of those agents can directly go in, look at that list, and start working on whatever they're assigned to. And now you know, if you create a design agent, it can talk to the sales agent through an API, through the mailbox. And it can ask, are there any creatives that need to get done? And if there are, the sales agent can send a message back to the design agent through the API, through the mailbox, with all the details the design agent needs to get to work. Knowing all this, how agents work and how they work together, lays the foundation on how all businesses are going to need to operate moving forward. It's the number one skill you need to understand. Because making agents is going to be easy. Claude and ChatGPT are working to make them easier every day. But unless you understand how they work, you won't be able to move them around creatively and have them work together to win the game of business. And you'll lose to someone that can. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe and let me know what you think. I know this might have been a little complicated and hard to understand, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments or message me on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to answer any of them. This was honestly a high-level summary on how agents work, so if you want me to go more in-depth and maybe a simpler explanation or maybe a more complicated explanation, let me know and I can make that for you. Should we build an agent together? Should we break down more tools and how agents can use them? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Happy building, and I'll see you in the next video.